All right, so today we are here with four-year Somers Varsity football head coach, where each year he has led the Somers Tuskers to the New York State Championship Class A, where they won the last three. Here with Coach DeMatteo. Thank you for being here today.
Really appreciate you guys having me here today. Thank you.
Let's get started. The first question we have for you today is, what inspired you to become a coach?
That's a great question. A lot of people in my family are coaches, specifically my dad, my older brother, a lot of my uncles and cousins. So the sport of football is something I've been around ever since I was a little kid. I enjoyed the game a lot, not only as a player, but some of the bigger things that I think the game of football teaches young men, which is how to be able to handle the daily life of an adult, which sometimes isn't very easy. And I think the sport of football at times is not very easy, and it was something I gravitated towards because I felt that it was a great way to impact young people to become better versions of themselves as they got older. And I just felt football was the best way to do that, and I wanted to continue the legacy of what my family had started.
All right.
And so everyone has to start somewhere. So where did you start, and how did you work your way up to being the head coach here?
Well, I started as a counselor at my dad's camps when I was in high school. So before I was really had a job or did anything like that, I worked the block and tackle camp, which is something that I own now, over the summer, and I helped preseason. So I unofficially have been coaching since I was like 14. And I got my first start and as a varsity assistant here in 2008 when I was hired to become a PE teacher right out of college. And, I coached other things here and there. I was a JV basketball coach for a while, but I was the assistant varsity coach here for, 12 years, 13 years before I eventually took the job when my dad retired.
That's great. And one question following up on that, how does it feel to succeed your dad as head coach here?
It feels very good because, I looked up to him my whole life, and he really got this program going in the right direction, and I went through this program. So all these things that I'm talking to you about are things that I experienced as a player, and lessons that I learned as a young person, and things that I still hold a lot of value in today. So being able to take the job when he felt it was his time to retire and have success with guys that are very special to him and very special to me, and we all do it together, is something that I value a lot.
Very cool. So you're telling us a little bit already, but what is your background in the sport of football?
So my background is I actually started playing football when I was 6 years old. So my parents lied on my birth certificate, got me in the Eastchester Blue Devils, which was a youth organization down county where I lived before Somers. And it was just a game that I've loved ever since I was a little boy. And I followed it, high school, college, pro, just a big fan of the sport. I love playing it, and as you get older and your body can't really play the game anymore, it's not really a good lifetime fitness activity, right? Most of the kids that have played on this year's team will never play the sport again. So, I understood at one point in time I was going to have to transition to another piece of the game if I didn't want to lose it completely. So that's where my interest in coaching came in. Like, I'm going to have to stop playing this game at some point, so how else can I stay involved? And I felt coaching was the best. So, my background in football was ever since I can remember having memories. I love the game.
That's awesome. So how do you get your team ready? How do you strategize for each of your games? Because you can't go into each game with the same strategy.
No, of course not. Every Sunday, we report to the school at 9 a.m. Unarmed the building. We're the only people here. And the entire staff, between paid coaches and volunteer coaches, about 12 of us, we go into the D wing where Coach Packert's room is, and we work on the opponent until we feel we're ready to go. And what that looks like is a lot of film work, a lot of busy work, breaking down film of the opponent, formations, tendencies that they may have on different parts of the field. Different people coming in and out of the game might trigger something that they may call. And we come up with statistics that support what we feel is best to do on game day. We make sure that we're all on the same page. And once those things are done, then we bring it to the kids and we coach them up. But there's a lot of legwork that goes into the game plan, specifically, the breaking down of film and the collaboration with colleagues.
And what about coaching do you enjoy the most?
I enjoy watching people in our program that are not considered to be stars from the jump find success in hard work and determination and find a role within the program and help us succeed. So a young man that potentially did not play a lot as a youth player or as a JV or freshman player come up to us, find the weight room, transform their body, be coachable, be a good person, be a good teammate, do all the little things right, and then find their way onto the field and impact us in a positive way. Because I feel that right there is something that you can take off the field and find success anywhere if you have that mentality. So that's probably my favorite thing to kind of witness is those types of kids that find success in the little things.
All right.
Good. And you talked about this a little bit already, but when did you start coaching here at Somers?
So I was a student here. I went to Somers. We moved here in the 7th grade, so I feel like I've been here forever. But I officially started working here as a part-time PE teacher in 2008. And that's when I joined staff. And then I was at the middle school for a little bit, and then I bounced back up to the high school. But I've been working here since 2008.
How would you describe your coaching style, and how does it affect the team's mission and culture?
In today's day and age, I would probably describe my coaching style as a little bit of tough love, which I think, at times can be perceived incorrectly. But, we want to hold these kids accountable. And I think that's something that's very important even outside of the football field. So when you do something right, I'm going to be the first person, and this staff's going to be the first group of people to praise you and let you know what you've done right. And if you do something wrong, we're going to be the first to let you know about it. And I feel that type of coaching kind of sets the standard for a level of accountability from top to bottom. And the kids understand from the jump that they have to check some boxes before they're allowed to put on a Somers jersey. And I think it affects the team's mission and culture. It places a level of importance on little things. Time management, making sure the equipment is out to practice on time, making sure the field is clean, making sure that kids are going to class and doing all those little things. It affects culture in a positive way because people fall in line. And when everybody has the same mission and the same goal, they start to kind of play for one another, and it creates a chemistry that, when done right, is very hard to beat.
Yeah. And how do you keep those athletes motivated and engaged?
It's a great question, and it changes from year to year because kids are different. Like the identity of each team these last 4 years that I've had the privilege of being the head coach here have been different teams. So you have to get to know the individuals that you're coaching. You can't just be someone on the side that's calling plays. So as much as there's a lot of stuff that goes into being a head coach that doesn't involve the kids on the team, it's very important to get to know them and understand what makes them tick. And sometimes it's, an arm around their shoulder and let them know, next time's going to be better. And other kids respond better to a little bit more of an aggressive, tough love type of concept. So I don't think that's really such a cut and dry type of question. I think it varies from year to year. But, I think the other thing, too, is to let them know that you care. If they really believe that the staff and I care, then I think they're going to care as well. And I think we show that with the time that we put in. And the amount of effort that we give and practice shows them that we care. Now, we're not just telling them, but showing them. And then that usually, helps them to care as well.
All right, so what was the toughest opponent this year to strategize against, and why?
Oh, boy. I would have to say probably Rye. Ramapo of New Jersey, week 0, was a very tough game, but they had a new head coach, so it was very watered down, in terms of what we were going to be able to prepare for. Whitesboro was obviously very, very good, and they were very difficult to stop. They were in 56 different formations. But, when you take into account how good the kids were, how good the coaching was, and the culture of the program, I think encompassing all those 3 factors, I think Rye was probably our toughest opponent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And then, obviously, you guys went undefeated and you won the championship. But how do you feel the season went besides that?
There's always ups and downs. Even on an undefeated season, there are always things that are going to disappoint you, and there's always going to be things that excite you. And you have to understand that it's a roller coaster. Everything is not going to be, sunshines and rainbows. So it's important to understand that you're along for the ride, and, the little things are going to go certain ways, and you want them to be positive. And this year overall, there were very little distractions. There are a couple things here and there, but that's just the nature of coaching in a high school. And I was very, very pleased with our varsity roster and how they conducted themselves in the community and on the football field.
So when a new player joins the team, how do you decide what position works best for the player when they're trying to decide?
Well, one of the things about being a PE teacher is you get to see people move in different areas, right? So when I was coaching down or teaching down at the middle school, We used to play capture the flag. I don't know if you guys remember doing that down at the middle school. The kid that didn't get tagged when he had the flag is probably going to be a pretty good football player with a ball in his hands. So there are different things that you do within the structure of the day here as a PE teacher where you get to witness kids do things, right, in phys ed class and kind of get to know them and get to know what their movements are. And then the other thing, too, is, siblings and their size and parents and their size and what they've done in the past usually translates. So it's not very different than a college recruiter coming in and recruiting a high school player and saying, how tall is your mom and your dad? Did your mom play any sports? Your dad play any sports? Do you have any siblings? What did they do? So it's really a variety of things that we take a look at and usually make a decision, based off that information.
Very interesting. So what will you do during the off season to prepare the team for next year?
Well, I don't think there's anything that we need to do differently. We'll do our usual deal. After the holidays, I kind of take the temperature of the room. Most other programs in the area end their season in November, but we've been fortunate to end it in December. So a lot of other programs are starting their off-season weight training program after the holidays. I personally feel that's a little bit too soon. I want to give these guys a break. I'm a big proponent of multi-sport athletes. I want guys to play other sports and get a break from football. But with that being said, we'll probably start our off-season weight training program after the February break. So we'll start lifting as a team, and we'll have group leaders and things like that, and 3-4 days a week. And then we'll also start with our lineman meetings, where Coach Packard and Coach Mike will get them on the board and start talking about the schemes that we want to do next year. And then I'll be taking the skill outside and start throwing the ball around, and getting our new quarterback ready as we graduate another first team All-State guy and all that fun stuff. So we'll have to get someone else ready up to speed, which we feel good about. So that nothing different about the usual procedure.
All right.
And just getting ready to wrap up here. How does it feel to be a 3-time New York State champion after 4 years of coaching?
I'll tell you what, that's a great question. I don't really think about it that much because I would have never envisioned this. I always thought that, with my family, that there was a great chance that I would have success in coaching. And I'm very fortunate to have an unbelievable staff that is bought into, everything that my dad taught and supported me when I got the job. And to me, it's more important to do it with them. I can't believe that we've won 3 in a row. But, my mentality has always been not to think about the past. I've already forgotten about this year in terms of, we're still celebrating it, and I love these kids. But in my mind, it's about the next one. So we're going to continue to grind and get after it. And we'll probably celebrate this one through the holidays with these guys that deserve a lot of attention for what they've accomplished. But I really enjoy, and I think the staff really enjoys, the grind of getting better. So we don't really take a lot of time to reflect. We do it when we feel it's appropriate, and then we move on. So yeah, it feels fantastic, but I'm ready for the next one.
All right. And finally, what is your most proudest moment as a coach?
I'm going to be a little selfish here, and I'm going to talk about the experience that I had in the dome, on the field this past year when my son was able to be there. It was just a cool feeling just to have, I was there for my dad when he was a coach, and I was on the field when he won a state championship. And then my wife, last 2 years wasn't able to come because when you have little kids, they get sick a lot. So there was always something up. She couldn't come. So this year they were both there. They were both on the field after the win, and that was a really cool moment. I got a lot of really cool pictures with my son, and that's something that I'll cherish.
Yeah, that seems very meaningful.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it was awesome.
All right. Well, thank you for coming today.
Yeah, man, that's it. All right, awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Appreciate you guys.